Hello, everyone. Does anybody know if we're hearing this in the atrium?
We do not know. Maybe this one. Join us in the auditorium. I don't
Yes.
know. The people are coming.
Can you remember the...
No, but leave it then. Everybody's coming. Yeah.
You remind people to write their future occupational profile.
And put them in the box. And then yeah. Okay, yeah, badges and yeah. Please join us in the auditorium so we can close the conference. Closing plenary. Please join us in.
Ho, ho, ho.
Otherwise, Esco is going to start to sing.
I hope everybody by now has learned who Falco is. And by the way, the correct answer to his best song is Out of the Dark and Into the Light. And I've had that confirmed from several state-sponsored institutions. Now there's going to be a fight.
So maybe while we're waiting for our audience to come and take a seat, this is just to remind you that this is our closing plenary, so it's the final part of the conference. And we're gonna start in a second.
Okay. One of the advantages when you've got the microphone is that you get to abuse the system. And so I'm going to I have a small indulgence. I have to be out the door in very few minutes, on the minute, or I'm going to miss a train and a plane and a catastrophic sequence of events goes. So I'm going to slot in the bit I was supposed to do before we're in the program. And then Barbara, without me, I think you'll manage, will close the proceedings. And my job was to have a look at these walls where we've been collecting data and try to extract a couple of key insights and synthesize maybe what's going on. I'm going to start with a microlearning one. It's the least developed one, and maybe that makes sense because it's probably one of the most recently introduced ideas into our consortium work. Interestingly, because it's quite new, I think there's some suspicions around it. There's even some expressions like, what is microlearning? Is this something to do with the capitalist system reforming education so that we can just, modularize gig economy workers with just the skills they need to deliver food to your door or something? I don't think that's what it is at all, but I think seeing what we've seen from the wall is we've got a long way to go. We're just starting thinking about microlearning. We've got a long way to go because we know from other contexts that this is a thing, right? All domains are asking questions, how do we incorporate this understanding of, or the opportunities of microlearning? And we're very early in this process. Yes. The Tower of Babel, key phrases. I think, from what I've heard in the sessions and looking at the volume of stuff, we complained a lot about indistinct terminology, but we didn't do a very good job of putting all of those terms up. So I think we're going to continue that work. But if I look at some of the key phrases that are coming out, it's quite clear, and I think this is interesting reflection because maybe this is the first time that we have a wider group of stakeholders beyond the core Cyanotypes partners who have our own meeting schedule. And these groups develop kind of language and we kind of get an understanding, but it's very clear from today that some of these language that we use are uh, in concrete, right? Some of the key words in our language of the consortium are completely ununderstood by people outside of it. So maybe we need to rethink the words we use, or maybe we need to get better at defining what we mean by these abstract concepts. And that's probably takes us, well, no, I want to leave pain points till the end. I'll go on to the occupational profiles of the future. My key takeaway from that one, and again, it's one of the underpopulated one, but this sector is naming things, occupational profiles of the future, that actually exist now and have done for a while in other domains. So I think for me the interesting insight is that we might be a little bit in a bubble when we're considering like what are the jobs we're gonna need in the future to develop our domain. We should talk to other domains because they already have those. They have job descriptions and they hire people, and they've been doing some of the labels I've seen these job descriptions for 10 years already. So I think we need to widen our horizons, and there are other domains that can maybe teach us, help us catch up on some occupational profiles that we in the creative industries are thinking are maybe kind of new and magical and mystical. And the main time I want to spend is on the pain points. This is an absolute gold mine of information. And what we tried to do today through the process was kind of create the conditions where people feel comfortable to express themselves quite honestly, and maybe brutally honestly. And I think it's a very good point in the journey of the consortium to have a little reflection and see if we need to change some things. A few things that I'll pick out. Our ecosystem is currently evidently missing key stakeholders. Our current conception has been a little bit too narrow. Some of these missing stakeholders, as we saw in the last session from the open space, are actually creative industries people, but that don't look like us and don't have the opportunities to engage in these kinds of forums. So we need to think about how we can be more inclusive in that way, but as I referenced with the micro occupational profiles, I think we also need to reach out into different domains and say, here's our problem, here's our challenge, here's our thinking, and have you been through these cycles before, and can you offer us any kind of insight? Our language is too abstract, theoretical, and misunderstood, even amongst ourselves, right? This is a fixable problem, right? We can develop mechanisms, say, when we say this, this is what we mean, and not continue a journey for many years where when somebody says something, somebody else is thinking something completely different. I come from the complexity science and systems thinking world. If you've ever delved into that field, there's a couple of recognized big minds, and if you ask them who influenced you, all of them will say a guy called Umberto Maturana. Maybe you've never heard of him. Maybe you're going to look him up now. His ideas are quite complex and hard to access, but one very simple thing he's offered us is the idea that if I say something to you, Barbara, I have a particular intent of what I think you're going to understand. But when you hear me, Barbara, from your frame of reference, the meaning that you construct with what I've just said is yours, and it could be quite different from mine. And this is happening in our discussions. We are saying words, and different people are understanding them in different ways, and until we can kind of mediate that somehow, we're open to confusion and indistinct outcomes. There seems to be some who are confident in the goals and the plan, and others who totally aren't. Okay. Part of that is familiarity and having been on a process or unique access, but I think mainly what that tells us, it's a communication issue. And it relates to other things I've said before. So we just need to be very clear when we say things what we mean, and that that's understood by other people, and it's not different things to different people. We need to get our consortium on one coherent and mutually agreed path. we are overwhelming ourselves and others. So there's a cry for help from the discussions for maybe some simplification and consistency and clarity. And I think I tend to agree. And there's opportunity for our process to become more inclusive and to turn talk into action. Them's the truth bombs from the wall. Yeah, so well, I'm going to ask Barbara to do that. We've got a little bit of time, and I think it would be nice to invite. We've collected the data, hopefully, everybody. Ebbing, data in the box, all the key insights from the open space, but it might be a nice idea to offer the voice to some of the people if there's some key reflections or key insights that came up that we can collectively share. And I think at this point, I'm going to hand you the microphone and bid you all farewell, and thank you for tolerating this process, and see you later.
I'll cry after you go away. Thank you, Esko. So indeed, we have a bit of time. So we'll do this spontaneously. And you just put a hands up if you want to share your highlight of the open space. It can be the worst, the best, something you've learned, something you didn't like, something you like. No, seriously, people? Well, I'll start. My last session was the best session, so thank you, Martin and Sophia, for that. And it was something that I had expected, but I'm extremely happy that it came up, because it's a criticism. There are not enough young people here. It's true. Not okay, not good. No, no, no. So we have a plan even of how we're going to do it next year. They're going to do it, which makes me even more happy. Other highlights. Did you like it? Oh, there you go. You liked it. Okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. All right. You want to go first? You wanted to? Oh, no, no, no.
I think that yesterday there was half a dozen really good speakers, but today we had about 100 really good speakers. So I really like the process.
We had a small but mixed conversation about ecosystems, and one of the things that came out from this was that we were questioning, is the ecosystem the purpose, or is it really the community, and is the community should be developing the ecosystem, which I think is an interesting conversation to have.
Absolutely. Thank you. More. We have some more time. Come on. Nothing interesting? Also something you didn't like, you can share. Say, I didn't like that we did not have something. What did we miss? Beside the young people.
So we had a really good session in the first round to do with starting a makerspace cluster within ECHN. Got loads of data as to what that could look like, and we've sort of already formed the cluster. We just need to get the approval of ECHN, and yeah, we've got ideas about how that could work. So it was, yeah, genuinely useful.
Well done. Great success. I love failures as well. So, you know, as I shared my failure of not making it to bring enough young people here. So we learn a lot from that. So, one more? Yes.
Thank you. Actually, I would add you have to make it more transgenerational. So actually all kinds of, you know, groups, age groups. Because if we talk about long life learning, so there were organizations that also representing this kind of side, yeah, of the process. And Maybe a very small highlight, just discussed with my colleague. We even found, or I even found like a strategy maybe how to foster or stimulate collaboration between higher education and other organizations. So in Germany, it's really a process how to change curriculum or enrich curriculum. So yeah, some ideas definitely came up how to, or what could be the starting points to start this process. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good one as well. Some more? You're tired.
Feels like it's only you and me speaking here. on the same line as the intergenerational lack of people, someone mentioned people who don't look like us. I think we have done a very good job in taking gender perspective, in having people from all over Europe here, but everyone looks like us, and everyone has more the same set of values and backgrounds or variations of the same set. I would like some people from the banking sector, for engineers, some managers for big corporations, or if possible.
You reminded me of the other point we had in our discussion, right? We are still a very privileged society, so I would love to have also other kind of others, as we call them, though it's us as well. Exactly. All right, so if nobody has another urgent point to share, we're going to move on because we have one more speaker with us. Thank you, Andre Forte, for bearing with us until the end and for taking on this role. We've asked Andre to talk to us because he has a bit of two hats.
Thank you. So, as you can see, I'm Andre. I'm from UPTEC, which is the Science and Technology Park of the University of Porto, which means that I work for a creative hub, which is UPTEC in some sort, but I also work for the University of Porto, so I guess I have one foot in each part of this project. I went a bit ahead of myself and I prepared something in advance. Unfortunately, it didn't go out that bad, and I kind of feel that it didn't miss the point of this conference. The only problem is also going ahead of myself, I called it final remarks, which it makes me look a little bit full of myself as well. So let's just ignore it's called final remarks and think of it as three main ideas that I want to share with you. And let's start with the first one. This is the one that I really enjoy, the self-subverting authority. I think this is really important, and I came across this idea in this quote in an interview that David Graeber did. You don't worship authority as a thing in itself. There are certain types of authority which undermine their own basis, like a teacher, which is which some of us are here, and what some of us represent, you know. If you teach somebody very well, they know what you used to know, so there's no further basis for your authority. This is, I feel like it's a really powerful message for us to keep as educators, that we are actually empowering people through what we are doing. And a little bit on this, and this is a more chaotic, I would say, and caustic idea that Claire Bishop wrote in an article she did about science-based art, which says that I think it underlines the privilege that we were just talking about, and at the same time, the systematic and professionalization of art can stifle creativity, which is something that we want to avoid as well. Obviously, this is up to discussion, you know, but I felt it was a nice provocation to have. And this leads me to the second point, which is probably my favorite one, which is the relearning that we've been talking about. I feel like it's a little bit about looking into the past as much as it is looking into the future. And I've been reading a little bit about the case of a school in Lisbon that was founded in 1905. It's called Escola Oficina Número 1. So it was founded with the purpose to create the individuals of the future. So this is a really interesting idea because they founded this school on the principles of equality, solidarity, and there's another one that I should check on my notes, sorry. I'd just rather have this on my hand, sorry. Freedom, equality, and solidarity. And the interesting part of this school is since the beginning, they involve the students in every decision they make. So every decision process had the students, and the professors were kind of conductors. So they prepared the classes, but in the end, they only followed through with what was spiking the people's interests, you know? So if the student was more curious about something really specific, they would follow this curiosity to guide the classes. And this kind of ethos permeated the whole process of the school, you know? So since the founding moment, they signed the document to create the school, and 4 students were part of this founding moment. It was 3 people from the direction and 4 students, which is a little bit of what we've just discussed. We might be lacking a little bit of the people that we want to impact with what we are doing now. So I feel like this is a powerful message. And the second powerful message, which was one of the professors who wrote about it, is this quote: the goal of this school was to form in every human being not a mutilated individual, but rather an individuality who is conscious of its integral social existence. This existence is not only economical or political, but economical, artistical, scientific, moral, juridical, and political all at the same time. So the goal of this school was actually to empower, we're talking about little children, but it was to empower them from scratch to be able to have agency, which is, again, what we've been talking, what Florian mentioned in the beginning. And I feel it curious that we're talking about new skills, new approaches, but maybe we are missing what has been done before that could guide us to do somewhat of a better job as well. At the same time, we are talking about emancipatory skills. Again, another thing that Florian mentioned a while ago. And the last idea and the third one and the last one, before I share some examples of me trying to apply this in my work, is that relearning is something that we should not do only for ourselves, and we should start involving a broader cast of people, you know. We should think of all the decision makers, all the gatekeepers, all the stakeholders that will benefit from this. Not to detour myself from this process, I will show you some quotes. This was from an article from what they call a social entrepreneur in Lisbon. So what this person does is use art to work with disenfranchised communities in the outskirts of Lisbon. And he just uses simple economics to kind of convey the idea of the impact that we are having by doing this job. So in this case, he's just sharing that an incarcerated adult in Lisbon or in Portugal costs 20K a year to the state. And every institution or project that he works with costs 50K. So this idea means that if each project can keep around 10 people, the state is saving 400K. So this is a nice idea to kind of convey to decision makers so they can understand the impact of what we can do by relearning and all that. But also they need to be able to understand this idea. He went a little bit further with the idea, also bringing it to education, which I found it really interesting. How much it costs in the current school system. So I know this is conflict idea with the one that I just shared, but it's interesting that every student that fails in the school system costs 4K a year to the state. And what these projects are doing through art is enabling students to be better learners at the same time. So all of what we are doing have impact. And this is him trying to make an effort to convey these ideas to the people who are making decisions. So, okay, this is important that we learn it, but maybe they should also learn what we are doing and meet us halfway in understanding this. And the last quote that I give you is more of an inspirational kind of thing. So this is from a book that I found really interesting, and I feel that it meets a lot of the things that Florian also said, and David as well, which is from a book called Temporary Autonomous Zone, which is somewhat what we are trying to do, you know. This book is about, I would say, creativity as an empowerment for questioning forms and structures and creating something new from scratch. And creativity is the driver for all this, you know. And the author says that provided we can escape from the museums we carry inside us, provided we can stop selling ourselves tickets to the galleries in our own skulls, we can begin to contemplate an art which recreates the goal of the sorcerer, changing the structure of reality by the manipulation of living symbols. Art tells us gorgeous lies that come true. So this is kind of a wild idea, but I believe that it's an important one to keep in mind, that what we are trying to do from here on out is to create a new form of doing things. So having this autonomy and having art and creativity to be the driver of it is an important thing. So we also should be able to question the structures that is stifling this artistic and creativity forms of thinking. Now for the self-promotion part, which I feel is the really not interesting part, it's how we've been failing to do so, which is creating programs where we bring this to schools. So we do this in partnership with engineers, with the Happy City project, where we've been bringing challenges to designers in the fine arts faculty, so they help us define the happiest, to create projects to make the people in Porto the happiest by 2028, which is a crazy idea, but at least they have challenges and they have goals, and through this they kind of are driven to have an impact through their knowledge and through art. And this is about engineers and artists working, and UPTech is just the medium. In the case of XPO, I found that creativity is something that is missing a lot in the startups that we work with, and the technical skills are something that might be missing on the artists. So I created, not I, but UPTech created the XPO, which is a series of activities where we ask engineers, scientists to do lectures for artists, and we invite artists to do the opposite. So they have kind of a common ground to share their experiences and maybe learn from each other, which I feel is really important. The last one is a project that the Champalimo Foundation in Lisbon created that I found really interesting, which was about inviting neuroscientists and artists in the fields of music, digital art, to create a generative AI that that acts in a forest. So what happens is this forest acts to the movement of people going there through generative AI. And this happened because of the collaboration that I've been failing to do, but somebody else has been able to do it, you know. And yeah, I think this is it. More about ideas to share than anything else. I hope that it was helpful, that you liked it.
Thank you, Andre. I think you did a very good job in wrapping this up. David, do you want to give us a few words? He doesn't. I know, it's true, he doesn't.
Thank you all very much. I know that behind these four walls there are drinks and there is food. So this is really 60 seconds. I want to thank every single one of you for coming, and I want to thank you for the depth and quality of your input. What the feedback I've heard from different people in different places, we have a lot of content. So I'd like you to do a round of applause for yourselves by way of thanks from us. So, well done. I'm going to do an impression of Esco, who's now left. These cards that you have somewhere, I hope, and if you don't, pick one up. Please leave them behind. Somebody said, how do we turn all this talk into action? Well, the way we can help, you tell us that you want to be involved. You tell us, we'll run a pilot of what you produce. We'll help you produce the content. Just tell us. We'll contact you and we'll bring you in as far as we possibly can. That's all I have to say, except I'd like to embarrass Barbara. And to thank Barbara and her team from Elia for organizing this event. So firstly, thank you very much, Barbara. Turn around. There you go. Goodies. I'd also like to thank the team from ECHN, from the European Creative Hubs Network. So Vasilius or Rita or Mirto, there you are. There are some chocolates coming for you. And last but not least, I'd like to thank the Anguvanta, and especially the person of Angelica and her team. So Angelica, I don't know where you are. There. Thank you very much.
So basically, David is doing what I thought I would do. So then you will get to the drinks even faster. So just, indeed, the team. And I mean, there are many, many people that have worked here, not only Angelica and Erla, though they are indeed wonderful, but also the technicians. They had to, you know, cope with lots of challenging collaborations, let's put it this way. So I really would want to thank them, and indeed, you know, also for the ELIA team and the ACHN team, we had to put lots of things together. So thank you all to my colleagues and to the ACHN team for putting up. And of course, just, you know, we have to thank the Commission for giving us some funds for doing this, because otherwise it would have been even harder. So. And last but not least, also all the cyanotype partners, thank you for coping. And again, indeed, also thank you. Thank you for coping with us, with this experiment, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, David, for keeping us together. And that's it. So you can go and have fun and have some drinks. So see you next year, and it's going to be even more crazy. So prepare yourself. So there are drinks in the atrium. Enjoy.